My dad always cared about school. He always said, like, treat school like your job, which I actually am grateful for because it taught me just a basic work ethic. Like, whatever it is you're working on, like, do it really well. My third show was at Madison Square Garden, and I'm like 21.
What even?
And they don't need to rehearse that much because they've been playing these songs like forever, and they're like family. I have like some hidden somewhere for no one's eyes but mine. I have like photos with videos of me like being like, I don't like how I did this. Like I like how I did. Like I just was like very specific because it's true. I didn't really know how to perform on stages that big, and I needed to like watch it to see what looked natural and what looked like I was really uncomfortable. You know, which is why I feel like I tell my friends when they're upset, I'm like, try writing a poem, and they're like, that's not what I do, Rozzi. That's what you do.
That's what you do. Oh my gosh. Hi, this is Lauren Engel. Today I'm here with Rozzi.
Hi.
So you're born in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, I'm from San Francisco.
Are your parents from there as well?
My mom grew up in the Bay Area. My dad's from Denver. So kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've always been so interested in music, especially like your mom, right? In your upbringing.
Yeah, well, my mom just like loves music. She's just like a fan of it, and is still always like hip to things. Like she got me like Adele's 3-song EP when I was in high school. I was like 16, and she like was like, I heard this amazing singer, I think you'll like her. She was like hip to her early.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do they do?
My dad is a professor at Stanford. And my mom,
what does he teach?
He teaches like public policy and healthcare, not at all music. Very different. And my mom just works in the arts a lot around the Bay Area.
When you were listening to like Amy Winehouse, did you find that yourself, or like how did you, or would they show it to you?
I don't remember. My guess would be my mom, honestly, would have found Amy Winehouse before me, but I don't remember. I remember the feeling of hearing her for the first time and being like, oh, like, that's how I can do what I want to do, you know, because I always wanted to sing soul songs, but I had like a tendency to write more like pop stuff, and I just didn't really know how those two worlds could coexist for me. And then I heard Amy, and I was like, oh, that's how, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you sang like Jewel in your like no, it was not even, it was like primary school. What was it, like early on? Jewel?
Jewel, oh my god, Jewel, yeah, girl, you know so much. I sang a Jewel song in the first grade talent show, and that's when I decided to be a singer.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna be. Yeah, I loved Jewel growing up.
How else would you describe yourself back then growing up?
How would I describe myself?
Yeah.
I think I was kind of restless. Like I was like kind of never really satisfied as a kid. I would scream a lot and never like totally comfortable. I was like, there were so many things I wanted to do, I think is the way it felt at the time. And I was like really like a performer, always.
Were you in drama?
Yeah, and I was like a dancer. I just wanted to be a performer. There's like so many home videos of me and my mom just like following me around, like making up songs.
Oh, that's so cute.
They're
such
insane.
A close relationship with your mom.
Yeah, well, she's, you know, she definitely is the like the artist in my family. That's where I got that from, for sure.
And were they always like open to you doing singing or?
And they were always very supportive of me like being creative, for sure. I think maybe the fact that I wanted to do it professionally maybe made them nervous, just because they're not in the industry at all. They don't really know that much about how it works. I think it's a little scary if you don't. It just sounds so impossible. But now they're completely supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your dad ever push you academically?
Yeah, definitely. My dad always cared about school. He always said, like, treat school like your job, which I actually am grateful for because it taught me just a basic work ethic. Like, whatever it is you're working on, like, do it really well. I learned that probably from him, just with the way he was. Like, we could never miss school. We never, like, took an extra day for, like, Christmas break or something. Like, always had to be at school. But, I mean, I learned how to work hard, so it's a good thing. Yeah.
Did you like school?
I did like school. I never really cared that much about my grades. That wasn't really, I wanted to be a singer, so I didn't really care. Yeah. But I always liked to learn. I still really like to learn.
But you did well, right?
I did pretty well, yeah. I did pretty well in school. Yeah, I like school. I miss school. I didn't graduate college, so maybe I'll go back. Yeah.
Other than music, what were your favorite subjects back then growing up?
I always liked English, probably because I like to write in general. And I mean, I was obviously I like to write songs, but I always wrote like little short stories and poems. My whole life I always liked to write. So English was fun. I liked history just because that like makes sense to me, like talking about people and the way that things came to be. Like that's just a pretty that's like very accessible
That's kind of
to
from
me.
your, like, dad's side, right? What he's interested in.
Maybe, yeah. His like politics. I still like politics now. Yeah. Math and science I didn't like as much.
And then what made you want to go to USC to study?
Well, I didn't really want to go to college, honestly, because as much as I love school, I just want to be a singer. So I was like, why would I go to school? But this program, this brand new program at USC, this popular music major, appeared the year that I was applying to schools, which was really fortuitous because my parents really wanted me to go to college. And this school was amazing. It's like, it was incredible music education, and like that's kind of where I got all my first jobs as background singing. Like my first background singing jobs came through that, and I got signed for the first time kind of through that. So it ended up being a really, watch out.
Yeah. Actually, before college, where was your career at, or like what were you doing? Were you like making a lot of your own music? Like did you learn how to do it all yourself?
I mean, I recorded like my first original music, I think my senior year of high school. I recorded. I mean, I had been recording original music always, but like in a real way. My senior year of college, my voice teacher in San Francisco helped me put it together. Amber Morris, she's amazing. But then, I mean, nothing really. Like I got my first job my sophomore year at USC. I got my first job as a background singer for Sergio Mendes from like Brazil 66. And then I got my second job as a background singer for Don Henley. That was all not until I was like 19. So high school I wasn't really, I was like playing random ass shows places, but not in a substantial way. Really. Yeah.
Oh, so you're already figuring out how to get her name out there by doing the shows.
I was trying, but San Francisco, I don't know about now, but growing up, like, so much creativity, so much artistry, but not a lot of performance opportunity. It's not like LA. I got to LA and I was like, oh, like, this is where it happens, you know? Yeah.
And then I guess the first big thing was the email that you got.
Yeah.
From Adam.
Yeah, from Adam Levine. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, he heard a song that I wrote and basically was like, I don't have a label, but I'll start one if you'll be on it.
Do you know how he even, like, heard that song?
Yeah, I mean, it's like through a series of people. I was writing a song I wrote a song with a friend of a friend. Oh, no, I wrote a song with his friend, basically, and his manager heard it and then sent it to Adam. And
were you scared, like, doing so many huge tours, I guess, at that age?
The tours?
Yeah.
I remember, like, the third show I ever did with Maroon 5, back when I would just do the Christina Aguilera part. I would do a couple duets every night with them. My third show was at Madison Square Garden. And I'm like 21.
What even?
And they don't need to rehearse that much because they've been playing these songs like forever and they're like family. So we'd rehearse maybe once or twice, I swear. And I remember like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a shot backstage. I need a shot. I took like a shot of tequila because I was so nervous. And then it was like the best feeling in the world. Very similar to that first grade experience singing Jewel, but in a bigger scale.
Yeah. Looking back, do you wish you like had more time to develop yourself? Because it was like from just doing your own songs to all the way like Madison Square Garden, like you miss out like I think 3 years that people go through with like troubles and
that's
finding
perceptive.
themselves.
That's really perceptive. I think I had to end up doing that the past 2 years. Like it's true. I kind of got picked up in this crazy whirlwind that didn't necessarily like really foster my development as an artist, which was I needed. I definitely needed that, and so I think the past 2 years have been all about that. They've been all about like really like finding myself and figuring out who I want to sound like and what I want to say and what's my point of view. And it's true, I definitely did miss out on it. At the time I was like, I'm having so much fun. But I always knew that there was a step that had been skipped that I would probably need to come back to at some point.
Other than doing the few like training with them, did you have your own training because you were going from like these small performances to like knowing how even your voice, it's like different, right? The way you sing to like huge crowds.
I mean, the way I like prepared just as a singer, like I didn't necessarily know what I was preparing for, but I used to learn like live Beyonce albums and live Aretha Franklin albums note for note. I would just like, over Christmas breaks, I'd come home and I'd like replay their runs over and over again and learn each little run to be exact, like to do exactly like they did, just because I figured if like I can do what they can do, then I can do what anyone can. Like if I could figure out what all my favorite singers do, then I'll have the option to do whatever I want. So I was like, thank God I did that before these tours, because it's true, once you get on those big stages, it's a whole different feeling. and fortunately I had that as like a foundation, I think, to step off of. But then I remember, this is kind of embarrassing, but I remember I got like video of like my performances with Maroon 5, and I would watch them in my hotel rooms and like critique myself, and then like I have like some hidden somewhere for no one's eyes but mine. I have like photos with videos of me like being like, I don't like how I did this, like I like how I did, like I just was like very specific, because it's true, I didn't really know how to perform on stages that big, and I needed to like watch it to see what looked natural and what looked like I was really uncomfortable, you know?
Mm-hmm. And was this like during college or?
Yeah. This was during college.
So this was your second year that you like?
No, I think the tours weren't until my senior year of college. I was like 18. Not 18, I was like 21. Yeah.
When you were signing to his label, did you have like your own team yet?
Yeah, so I had management, but it was all connected. It was kind of all one thing.
Oh, so it all happened at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all happened at the same moment, basically.
Mm-hmm. How did you choose that you wanted to be with them?
Well, at the time, I was like a 19-year-old college student, and like the biggest pop star in the world emailed me. Like, there was no real competing offer, you know? That was probably the best possible thing I could get.
Yeah.
Once we parted ways, I definitely took my time meeting people and like really trying to figure out what it is that I wanted out of a team. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, like I kind of got like a manager, a label, and a lawyer overnight when I was a teenager, and I didn't necessarily get a real picture of like what my options were. So when that time came, I definitely took my time.
Yeah. What did you learn from being with Adam and doing such things at a big scale?
Well, I learned so much from Adam. He's such an amazing performer. Like, I learned from watching him every night, and then literally I had to like literally keep up with him on stage every night, and I learned about like energy and like connection with the audience in a way that I can't even really describe. It was just like a physical thing that I got to learn from being there with him.
How about in terms of like knowing what you're looking for with your new team after joining? Like what kind of label? Yeah.
I think what I needed to do was I needed to figure out who I was. When that relationship ended, I needed to listen to the voice in my head that was like, there's more to you as a writer, there's more to you as an artist than you know yet, and than you're fully expressing yet. And I needed somebody who could really understand how to help me in that process, which is my new manager, Ben Singer. I'm signed to his label, Small Giant. He's like amazing at that, at like truly like developing writers, like artist writers, to express themselves as authentically as possible. Like I'd say that's like his bread and butter.
Mm-hmm. How did you meet him?
We just got set up in a meeting. My lawyer just set it up. I think it was my first or second meeting, and I sang a Prince song in his office. And he was like, "Can you hang out the rest of the day?" And then I wanted to meet everybody else, so I kind of like played hard to get for a month while I met everybody else. Yeah.
And what was it like working on the Hunger Games?
The Hunger Games, that was so crazy. I was like a full college student. It was just super surreal. And really fun. That song is beautiful. Adam's voice is so beautiful. It was so fun to sing on it as a harmony.
Mm-hmm. But Kendrick Lamar was like a separate thing, right?
That was separate. So Kendrick, it's funny, that version, I think it might be somewhere sneaky on the internet, but it was never officially released. He did a feature on one of my songs, and it was unbelievable. And we like made a whole music video that never got released. So I got to meet him, which was so cool. That's so funny. It's like one of the like highlights of my career that no one else really got to experience, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But hey, it was amazing. Yeah.
And what did your parents think of you dropping out of USC?
At that point, they were fine with it. Because I never actually dropped out. I just was part-time for 2 years. So I like walked to graduation.
Oh, so you did graduate.
I didn't. I didn't technically, but there's like pictures of me in the cap and gown, and like they let you walk if you're only a semester away. So I only have one semester left. At that point, they're like, I was full-time working as a singer. I went to music school. It's not like the degree from music school is going to like change my life, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So fortunately, no one really minded. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it difficult, like financially, after like getting out of school and like doing everything on your own again?
It's funny. Like, the private events are amazing as like an artist. Like they just like they could sustain me for a year just playing a handful of private parties. I would like play a tour and not make any money, like break even on tour sometimes, and then play a handful of private events, and it's like, you're fine.
Yeah.
So it depends on the year. But, and I had help. I was very lucky. I had help from family and stuff, so it wasn't,
Do you see your initial fans still come from, like, the Maroon 5 days?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. That was something that was amazing for me, because I kind of disappeared from a little bit from the world. Not that anyone was really paying attention, but, like, from my world, Instagram and whatever. I disappeared for, like, a couple years. And when I came back, I didn't really know how people were going to respond. I knew the music was pretty different from some of the older music I had released, and it had been a while, and I had no idea if they were still going to care, and it's just been, like, so amazing that so many of those people that I met on Maroon 5 tours still
That's so cool.
cared, and they're still paying attention, and they still support me and love the songs. So yeah, it's been amazing. And it's not just Maroon 5. I did, like, Gavin DeGraw tour and an Owl City tour, and a lot of those fans became my fans, and Kelly Clarkson fans from that tour, and obviously my friend Scott from Pentatonics, we collaborated a bunch, and he's, like, the most supportive friend ever. So it's kind of this amazing group of fans I think I've accumulated from some of my relationships with other artists.
And what was the decision to do the YouTube video announcing your change in direction?
Oh, I think it had been 2 years since when I'd been kind of silent, and it just felt like, I don't know, like if I were to think of all of my fans out there as my friends, if I had some big news, I would, like, tell my friends, like, just so you know, like, I've entered a new phase of my life and this new stage musically, and I don't know, it just felt like a nice thing to say to everybody. I just wanted to kind of clue them in on what was going on. Yeah.
And you were actually, like, scared to sign with another label again, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I attribute it to, like, I don't know, it's kind of like falling in love again after a bad breakup. You know how things can turn sour, like, even no matter how good they are when they begin. So it's a scary thing, and, like, the industry just changes all the time, and it's hard to predict and all that stuff. There's so many fears in my mind, and I'm just, like, a natural overthinker, so I was kind of going down every possibility. But the truth is, Small Giant is just a completely different group of people than the last people I worked with. And it's all about, it ended up, I knew it was the right decision. But it was a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your song Never Over You is a reflection of your personal life.
Yes.
Like your ex-boyfriend back then.
Yeah.
What was your decision to, like, put yourself out there so much, and the story behind the song?
It was never a decision to be that personal. It's just like when you're writing, I wrote so many songs. I was writing, like, every day. It feels better for me to just tell, like, to share my deepest emotions. That's, like, what songwriting is for me. So I kind of forgot, in a weird way, these songs were ever going to be heard. I was just, like, in my little world writing songs about, like, whatever I wanted to say, all my deepest feelings and, like, secrets. And then to release them has, like, been a little scary, just because I'm really sharing a lot of my life. But at the same time, all of my heroes, all my musical heroes, like, shared their personal lives, and that's what's inspired me my whole life. So I'm also proud of that. I'm proud that they're so personal. But yeah, it definitely was a little like, okay, and the songs that are coming are even worse.
Oh,
like,
really?
They're so personal, yeah.
And he knows it's all about him.
Yeah, he knows, yeah.
And what are they about?
Well, we haven't really gotten to the breakup songs yet.
Oh, okay,
See, Never Over You and Uphill Battle are, like, breakup looming songs.
Breakup looming. Foreshadowing.
But the breakup songs are coming, yeah.
How do you think you've grown as a person since when you started?
I just know myself so much better than I knew myself then. High school is so, I don't know. Some people maybe just know themselves always, but I didn't. And I kind of feel like I'm finally the age that I've always felt like I was. Like, I've always kind of felt like a girl in her 20s. Yeah, so I kind of just finally feel a little bit more comfortable in my own skin, especially over the past 2 years when I spent so much time writing. That just involved, like, so much introspection and so much, like, self-awareness to write songs that are that personal, that I just kind of feel like a plus, that whole experience, was I just know myself so much better than I did 2 years ago. Which is why I feel like I tell my friends when they're upset. I'm like, try writing a poem. And they're like, that's not what I do, Rozzi. That's what you do.
That's what you do. Oh my gosh. Oh. What would you say have been your biggest challenges?
When you're writing for months and months and months, it's so the opposite of performing. It's so the opposite of being on tour. It's such a weird thing where those feel like you couldn't have two more different experiences. Like one is like totally secluded and it's just about your feelings and you're all alone, and one is like share with the world. People are asking you questions all the time. Everything's like you're never alone. And there's a moment that I could get into when I've been writing for months and months and months where I haven't written a good song in a while. If I haven't written a good song in a while, it's just like that is so hard to believe that you're gonna write a good song again when you're in that little cave. That's probably been the hardest. And the thing is about that is that happens all the time. I'm still writing all the time. I'm a songwriter. I'm always writing. And I still have months where I don't write a song that I like. And I start to think, like, maybe I don't really know how to do this. And that's always really hard. And then eventually, I mean, so far at least, I'll eventually write one that I'm proud of. And like that one song makes it all worth it. And you're like, oh my God, great, this is amazing. I love writing songs. And you like forget how miserable you've been.
What does success look like to you?
That's a great question. Success to me is all about connecting with people. Like the thing that I'm addicted to, I think, is the feeling of connection with a total stranger. Like they hear me sing or they hear a song of mine and they feel like understood and they feel like we have something that we've felt the same things. That moment is like, my favorite moment. So as much of that as possible is success for me. Ideally, I would be in a place where I could go anywhere in the world and play a show and people would come. Yeah. That's my dream.
That'd be amazing.
I just love to perform so much. And I just would like to be able to do it whenever I want. So it's kind of that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does love mean to you?
Love. That's a really good question too. Damn, girl, with the deep question. Love. I was gonna say trust, but you can love someone you don't trust.
Yeah, actually,
you know?
I was like, wait,
you can.
Oh my God, you're actually so right. Damn.
I think love is this kind of, for me, it's a little bit hard to explain. It's like not always based in reason, and it's not always based in logic, and it's you know what it is? This is why love is so hard for me too. It is the opposite of control. Like,
yes,
it's the opposite of holding on. It's like fully letting go to something and completely setting yourself up for like complete and utter misery, which I just avoided for so long because you can feel it when you feel like. I can see this happen to my friends when I watch them falling in love for the first time, or when it happened to me. Like, it's fucking scary because the feeling is so good that you can only imagine the other side of it. So yeah, it's like the opposite of control, I guess is what I'd say, which is a good thing. I've learned that it is a good thing.
Last question: what do you want to be remembered for?
Ooh. I want to be remembered for telling the truth. I want to be remembered for being really honest about whatever it is I'm singing about or talking about. And I want to be remembered for being a really hard worker.
Yeah. I love that. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So fun. Bye.